and thank you so much for joining me tonight. We've got some fun Saturday night crafting. This is really short, really quick, really easy. Nothing complicated or difficult. I'm starting with some coloring pencils. I've got my Arteza ones. These are my favorite ones. They're really waxy, so they always glide really nice. So I kind of prefer these pencil crayons to any other ones. I've also got some white embossing powder, which I got from Alina's Crafts, and some Versamark, and I do have some white ink, which I'll share in a minute. I'm using some dark colors of cardstock. These are the ones I'm going to use today, plus a brown, which I forgot to get in the shot to share with you. I buy all my cardstock from Lime Tree Craft in the UK. They're really good quality, and I really like that I can pick the thickness. And I've got these stamps here. Now, I don't have the packaging for these ones because they were on my desk. My daughter saw them, got really excited, and cracked on. So she's made a birthday card for her friend, which is fantastic. But they're new in my stash, and they're a really good price point. They come with a set of stamps, dies, and stencils, which is really fun. And it's the creative range. It's one of my favorite ranges as well, which I get from Craft Stash. So I will put all the links I can for everything that I've got in the video if they're still available down below. And if you want to check them out, they'll be there. So getting started, don't forget your anti-static powder bag, or talcum powder, whatever you're going to use to make sure that you don't get any fingerprints on your cards and you don't get any smudges or powder where you don't want it to be. And all we're going to do is whatever stamps that you've got in your collection, I wasn't saying you have to have these ones, by the way, whatever you've got in your stash, get it out and use it. I like ones that are more of a outline stamp so that you can color in the image on the inside. So that's what we need today, is some kind of outline stamp. I've got a few others I'm going to use in the video, so there'll be samples towards the end, you can see. Now this card took me maybe half an hour to make at the most, so it's quite quick and easy, especially if you've got all your supplies already on your desk. So I'm just stamping around randomly, trying to make a nice background image. This is a great one layer card as well. There's nothing else we're going to add on to it, so it'll make postage really nice and cheap. It's a great way if you're sending international cards to use some of your stash and not have to pay a fortune in that postage. So once I've heat set my embossing powder, I'm going to come in with my pencil crayons. Now I picked all pastel kind of colors so that they pop off the dark backgrounds more. You can by all means do this technique on lighter color cardstock. White's not going to work, but lighter color cardstock will work as well. It just has a more of an effect if you use a dark colored cardstock. So I'm using grey, brown, black, and this weird satin black I've got. I've never used it before, but I thought I'd have a go with it. The one I'm using currently is just a normal black cardstock, matte black cardstock. And I'm kind of coloring outside the lines a little bit in some of the areas to kind of make those candles look like they're glowing. I'm not being too particular about my coloring. I want it to kind of look chalky. I don't want it to look perfect and solid and colored in. I've got my pigment ink. This is the Hero Arts Unicorn White. It's my favorite white ink that I've ever used. I kind of stopped trying other whites because I wasn't finding anything that I liked that much. And then Jennifer Maguire always used this one, and same with Natasha Foote. And I thought I'll try this, and so I ordered some, and I wouldn't go back. And I've had this ink pad, and I bought a refill. I've had it for about 3 or 4 years. Can't go wrong. I don't use white very often, but it is a good one. Now I'm using my finger because I find I like the control better, and it is really hard to see on my footage how great this effect is having because it kind of gives that chalky, dusty look to it. And I like to use my finger just for the pure sake that I could get more control out of it. I don't get too much ink coming on in one go. And then I'm going to go and do the edges to kind of give it that finishing look, sort of like a chalkboardish look. So you can see up close, you can see that dusting of white. I just like the effect. I think it's a fun, different style to go with. Oh, my words are all over the place. So I'm going to use the wedding set next, because I've also got this one. I only got the birthday and the wedding one. And I'm just going to go for gold and stamp everywhere. I wanted to have as much on the background as I could. I wanted to fill that background up. And it does end up looking like a bit of a hot mess at first, but once you add the coloring in, it kind of tones it down a bit, brings it in a bit more. If I were to do this card again, I'd probably use a little bit less stamping because it did fill up the card quite a lot, because I also then go ahead and add a stencil on it. So I've got the matching stencil that comes with that little set, and I wanted to make the most of it because I'm not using the dies in this particular minute, but I wanted to try out the stencil and see if I could do a background of the hearts instead of extra dusting with my finger. So I'm using a paintbrush to fill it in because I liked the kind of look of the paintbrush rather than using a dauber. I could get a little bit more subtle of ink, and it gives it that kind of chalky look when I'm dabbing it on. So I'm basically like just stabbing it with my paintbrush. So here we go. It looks a right hot mess. Now I'm going to add ink to the edges, and it does level out a bit by the time I add in my color. So don't stress, because the color will go over top of that ink, which is why I did the ink first. If I did the ink after, it would kind of cover up my pencil crayon a bit, or my colored crayons. What do you call them? I can't remember, but I called them pencil crayons when I was a kid, but that's not what you call them here. Colored pencils, I think that's what it's called. So if I did it the other way around, those hearts would be a lot more in your face. But by the time I color everything in, they're a lot more of the subtle background that I was looking for. So it's just about having fun and playing and having a good time. And I stamped the backs of all my cards with the white ink as well. Now I wish I hadn't done the lettering like I did on here. I don't really like that I scribbled yellow over the top of it. I liked it on my first card, so I thought, oh, I'll do it on this one, but it didn't really work. And I did it on this one as well, which I quite like. This is that weird satin card that I was telling you about. It's really shiny and smooth, and it kind of feels almost waxy, but it looks really cool. I love the end result, and the ink seems to be sticking. It hasn't smudged at all. Then I use these two sets here. So Alina has some really cracking good outline stamp sets on her website, and I really love this flower one. I've used it a lot, and I decided to do a sympathy card with that and did a couple colors of pencil crayon and kind of blended them together. So in the end I made 4 cards, and it took me just over an hour, I think, and I had a really good time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love it if you subscribed, and otherwise I will hopefully see you again on Wednesday. Take care. Have a good weekend. Bye.